Hi everybody, today I'm going to share with you 10 budget travel tips that you must know so that you can save money on travel. My first tip is travel hacking. Travel hacking is when you use credit cards to gain points in order to score you things like cheap flights and cheap hotel rooms. Another thing you should look into is discount cards. A lot of places around the world will offer you discounts if you have a student card. Make sure that it doesn't have the expiration date on it. If you've recently graduated, it should work a lot better, but there's other discount cards you could get as well. They actually have discount cards for teachers, they have discount cards for hostels, and a variety of others. Some you do have to pay for. You pay for upfront, but it gets you such good rewards that it's usually worth it. My third tip is to utilize the sharing economy. The sharing economy is exactly what it sounds like. It is when you are sharing resources. So a few examples would include couch surfing. If you've never heard of couch surfing, you get in contact with a local and you get to stay at their place for free. There is also house sitting where you'll be able to house sit somebody's house, usually looking after some pets while they're away on vacation or traveling. Those are the two free ones I'm going to mention, but there are several other ones as well to help you save money. Airbnb does actually fall under this category. There is an app called BlaBlaCar, which is really big in Europe. It's where you share a ride with somebody. So maybe if somebody's already going to a certain city or destination, you can just gain a ride with them for a cheaper price than taking a train. There is another website called Guided by a Local. This could be a cheaper way to get a guide or find an excursion compared to traditional websites like TripAdvisor. The last one I'm going to mention is called Eat With. You get to share a meal in a chef's home or have a cooking class by a chef for, again, a cheaper price than you would find on something like TripAdvisor. My fourth tip is to volunteer or work overseas. There are so many different things you could do overseas. You could work on a farm. Working on organic farms is really popular. You could work in a hostel in exchange for accommodation. You could volunteer at schools, at nonprofit organizations. There are really a ton of options. The website I use to find volunteer opportunities is called workaway.com. And if you want to stay on an organic farm or just a farm in general, you could look into woofing. A very large expense that people don't expect while they're traveling is bank fees and ATM fees. The number one advice I have for you is to get a card that doesn't charge ATM fees. If you are American, I would look into Charles Schwab. Another budget tip that I think is very underutilized is city tourist cards. You'll pay a price up front, but then you'll get discounts to a wide variety of city attractions. This can be really good for you if you are trying to see a lot of the attractions in the city. It will end up saving you a ton of money. Jan and I did use this when we were in London, which helped us a lot. My next tip is to travel with one bag in order to avoid baggage fees. Although the baggage fee doesn't seem very expensive, it can definitely add up. I used to think it was fine to take a bunch of suitcases and a ton of luggage because I was like, well, it's free on international flights. Then I came to the realization that that is such a hassle. And if you're traveling long term, this really limits what airlines you can take, and you'll end up paying more for a different airline that won't charge you for that extra bag. Another good budget tip is to use deal websites. There are several deal websites you could use in order to find cheap flights. I like to use Scott's Cheap Flights. There's also Airfare Watchdog, and there is a website called FareDrop, which was created by YouTubers Karen and Nate. These will send you email notifications whenever there is a very good cheap flight deal. However, you are going to have to be flexible because they are set dates. I will be coming out with another video soon all about how to score cheap flights, so if you would like to see that, make sure you subscribe. For discounted hotels, you could use websites like Hotels Tonight or even Groupon. Groupon could have some really good deals on it. Another important travel tip is to travel in the off season. This is when there's fewer tourists, so you'll have a better time. And because there's fewer tourists, that means that the prices will also be lower. Make sure you look up what is considered off season in that destination though, because as an American, I tend to think of the off season as winter or any time that's not summer, but that's not the case for every destination around the world. My 10th tip is to travel slower. This is especially true if you are long-term traveling, but even if you're on vacation. Basically, the more you travel, the more you spend. Transportation adds up, so if you spend longer in one location or in one destination, that will help you save money on your trip. Then my last tip for you is to make a budget and track your spending. I created a video about how to create a travel budget that I will link down below. This is probably the most important part to sticking to your budget and really being able to travel cheaply. If you would like more information about any of the topics that I covered today, please let me know and I could address them in a different video. If you are looking to travel long term, then I do have a video about how I was able to travel on $30 a day and also how I was able to save up for the trip.